Hello everyone and welcome to Whale Project Showcase. Today we're featuring HeroEZ, the gamer-fueled NFT collectible project that aims to allow fans to build, shape, and reap the rewards of their own top-tier esports club through the power of Web3. Remy, thank you so much for joining us today to talk about it.
Thank you, Nightmare. It's great to be with you today.
Really hyped up to talk about this. I know we talked before briefly, and I was really intrigued by how it was different than a lot of other things we've seen hit the market. Before we hop in, could you give everyone a brief background on yourself?
Yeah, definitely, guys. So I'm a former entrepreneur in the esports and gaming industry. I had my own company in 2017. We were doing a matching platform to help players to find each similar teammates and then be rewarded in crypto while playing. We raised the first seed round. Then we partnered with Riot Games to structure the amateur scene. But the second fundraising didn't happen, so we closed the company in 2020, just before the COVID crisis. We had 150K users approximately, so it was quite a good experience. But then I left the gaming industry to focus on venture capital, startup studios, etc. And on the side, like I was playing competitively on Apex Legends. Maybe you know the game. And I was really into how we can create something new in the esports market, because every teams that are being launched during the past 3 years, let's say, are pretty the same. So we wanted to explore a new format, and what was best than imagining the fans at the core of the concept. So that's how I contacted Sebastian from the Sandbox, the founder, and he's a friend. And at the end of the call, he was like, "Okay, but first, join the Sandbox. I'm looking for my operation manager." So I joined the Sandbox, and at the same time, I'm working on HeroEZ. So yeah, I joined the Sandbox last year in October, and we started the project a bit at the same time.
Well, that's pretty dope when you call someone to ask for advice on a project and they think that you're, you're so cool, you're so learned in what you're talking about that you need to come work for me as well. So that's great. But also, I think certainly there's a lot that you can pull from your experience there into your other projects, right? And take some of those learnings, perhaps some of those relationships, and leverage it with real perspective. I think you're coming from the traditional gaming background and then also with Web3 and being able to marry those two in a way that I think is a little bit different, because a lot of the things that we see that come to market are people trying to shoehorn Web3 onto existing stuff, or the inverse, right? We talk in our gaming room here on Whale all the time. Hey, there's project X, Y, and Z. But where's the fun of it? It seems like gamers are loosely involved, perhaps, because it's really about grind and really about, just the monetization as the focus. And that's not going to attract gamers. You're not going to really get that cohesive, appeal to both audiences. So very intrigued with your background and what that could mean for what that project is. So talk to me. Well, I'm sorry. It looks like you wanted to respond to that.
No. It's just that you're saying very precise points that actually shaped our vision. You mentioned the lack of fun on Web3 games that creates people that are just investors playing potential games that are not games. Actually, they are just platforms, digital platforms to earn money, but that's all.
Right.
And you also mentioned the fact that Web2 games and that traditional gamers, are still a bit afraid of what's happening in the Web3 industry. That's why we really want to use the tech behind the blockchain. I mean, the blockchain technology to make it happen. To go to Web2 games, but creating a Web3 structure. So we are I would say that we are using the best of both worlds. to make it happen. So the DAO and the whole governance will be decentralized, but we will be playing on eSport ready games. And sorry guys if in the chat there's some people doing this, but personally speaking, I don't believe in eSport on Axie Infinity. Like the game is not ready for that. The game is not appealing enough. It's not fun enough. It's not complex enough as well. And if you compare this to League of Legends, Apex, CS:GO, or else, like it's very very far. So and sorry, and also like an esport title also requires a lot of structure, a lot of, I mean, all the publishers, the game publishers, actually structured their scene, their esports scene, to make it viable for the teams. So it's not just happening in a blink. You need to have the game publisher needs to have a very very clear strategy to make it work in the end for him
Right.
and for the teams.
Right. Yeah, and I love that you're taking that approach. I may have gotten so excited I put the cart before the horse a little bit there. We mentioned a DAO, we mentioned the esports. Let me bring it back. HeroEZ, the project that you're launching. If you could give a synopsis on what it is, just for someone that just never heard of it before, how would you encapsulate it?
It's a DAO governing an esport team. Very simple. Like if I need to shoot a definition of what HeroEZ is, it's a fan governed esport team. That's all. But we use tokens, we use NFTs actually to make it happen. Because of many different reasons. The first one is emotions. We didn't want tokens because we really believe in esport as a thrilling experience, and we wanted our NFTs to make their holders feel something, feel emotion about the design, about and also, as you see, it's a small robot, but this small robot is not aggressive. It's more like a companion. Compared to many other projects that use robots as aggressive machine hunters, etc. Here we have cool little companions that can help you grow in the gaming ecosystem.
You've been looking at DC's Mid-Journey robots, I guess, talking about the overly aggressive ones and whatnot there. So an esport club managed by a DAO and doing so via NFTs. We touched on in the beginning some of the rationale you had for this project and pulling it together. What was the inspiration? What made you say this needs to be done differently than it's done right now in esport?
Okay, the starting point was when some very famous teams, I'm not gonna quote them, but they tried to launch their own tokens, their own fan tokens, but it was just a rug pull. Like they just saw tokens as a new revenue stream, not as a way to engage the community, which is what the Web3 philosophy is about. If, so basically, when I saw that, I was like, what's happening? I mean, there's an issue here, and they promised a lot of stuff and nothing happened. So these tokens, of course, went down quickly, and now the teams just cancel their plans. So the tokens are useless, and they still got their cash. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, we need to have a different approach. We need to involve them at the core. So that's also why we didn't raise any funding, because we don't want to have a venture capital firm in the company before the governance is given to the people. So of course we will need fundraising, because if we want to compete against traditional esport teams, of course we will need resources, additional resources compared to what we have now. But if the governance is fully handled by the community, the roadmap will be theirs. and not an institutional investor that decided that they need to leave right now.
Right. And I like the idea of not having to answer to that corporate overlord, as we've seen. Forget blockchain. We've seen just what's happened to traditional gaming, right? We could all name our favorite studios, I'm sure, and have a story on how they were really decimated by that type of thing. And I won't hop on my soapbox being a legacy MMO player, but I'm pretty old and I've seen it happen a lot of times. You talk about a couple of things that were striking to me in your material for the project when I was looking through the white paper. So one of them is the value distribution,
Yeah,
and how the model works now. Like eSport is a absolute behemoth. It is huge from a market share perspective, and the fans are really what drives that value, right? The fan engagement is what makes these teams so valuable to the corporate sponsors, and it's, it almost makes me draw a parallel to the music industry. Like
exactly.
the people driving all the value are not getting any rewards for it, right? Hey, you know what your
Exactly.
reward is? You get to
Yeah.
tune in and cheer us on.
And basically, when you see that Phase IPO'd last month, when you see that a lot of companies, esport companies, rely at approximately 70% on sponsorship to leave, it's for a reason. It's because they have a fan base. They have a fan base, but they usually consider the fans only as pocket money and not as a real asset. And that's the relationship we want to change. We really want to put the fans first and then the business. But because the fans will be there, the business will follow.
Yeah, and we could talk more about the different mechanisms that you plan to experiment with to try to do that in a little bit. But the other thing that I thought was cool about your approach and inspiration for this was the talk about a decentralized identity for an esport team. With so many of
Mhm.
them really being, regionally supported. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, definitely. That's if you watch the most famous esport teams, they are all region based because I mean the reason is often obvious. They are created by influencers, local influencers that have, of course, international image, etc. But still, they are regional influencers with their language, etc. So and as the governance always is always centralized in a dedicated place in their gaming house or else, they rely on a region to play and to compete. So with this model, we want to decentralize and we are not competing against them because tomorrow, for example, if you know the French, one of the most famous esport team right now is a French one. It's called Carmine Corp. Carmine Corp is great in France, and I will never try to compete against them. I mean, they are funded by very famous influencers in France. I will never pretend to be better than them at this stage. But if we are able to gather international fan base, small international fan base everywhere, at some point we will be big. And that's, in my opinion, what DAOs are for. They are to manage small communities. We are not pretending to be the biggest fan base in the world tomorrow, but we are trying to create an engaged, involved fan base who wants to commit in a project, in the same project. So that's our vision. And and for example, we could have a team on League of Legends, let's say in Europe, but have a team on Apex in Japan if the DAO wants it. No problem. Like because we will have this international support to be able to deploy resources everywhere.
Yeah, that's exciting to me because a lot of people are in Web3. A lot of people are excited about the NFT space and the metaverse because it's kind of where they found their own tribe, right? It's kind of where um, the social constructs of our society don't necessarily apply. If you want to, you could be an avatar and a whole new persona, and for some people that's empowering. And to be able to say whatever your regional biases are, forget it. This person can be in this part of the world, that part of the world. This is our team that we're making decisions on, and we're proud of whoever the stars we create, right? So that sounds really cool to me. I do, envy when I see people rocking really sick eSport merch. And sometimes I'm like, yeah, but the team, I don't like that particular team, or that doesn't resonate with me. So I'd just be buying it for fashion, which I can't lie. I did at some point in my life get some hockey jerseys or whatever, but that's not the point. The point is if it was something that really you identified with because you had a part in building it, I think that's super dope. So that was cool to me as well. And there was another thing that you highlighted in the beginning when we were talking, and I also saw in some of the documentation, was that cryptocurrency, the technology behind Web3, has only been leveraged as a monetary vehicle to just pad the pockets of the existing teams, the existing infrastructure. And whereas you want to, because you have the experience and you have kind of the insight into how the mind of the NFT space works, you want to use it to really better the process, make more interactions possible, do things that were really progressive. And so, I like that that's kind of an angle you're going. If you have some more to kind of just extrapolate on that, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, definitely. We really believe in the tech. I mean, and it may be obvious to say it, but I think that too many people don't mention it enough. Like we could the we could have done the same thing without blockchain, but it would have never been easy to trade and to buy the tokens to get the governance. So basically, we could have initiated a crowdfunding, let's say, to get people in, but once they're in, they can't get out. Once the crowdfunding is done, nobody can enter. Here it's much different. Thanks to the token, there's the market. The market can actually decide, can decide if they want in, if they don't want out, no problem. So that's the first thing about the technology. Also, and you can see it on the website. We have a gray area called membership area. The holders, we want the website to be on the left side, bottom left. Yeah, here it's locked. The holders will have access to a full platform where the proposal are voted, where the proposal are submitted, where they can also source new players, new potential players, and try to imagine the future teams. So this needs to become a product. It's not just a website, a landing page. It needs to become a tech tool to better manage the DAO and to make people even more involved. Because and a lot of people don't believe in DAOs. Like I'm not gonna elude that. We know it. We know that running a DAO is very hard. But our understanding is that most people don't participate in the DAO because they're not interested in the project, but just on the financial aspects of it. We are looking for fans, not investors. We are looking for people who believe in the same vision. That's all. And also because often there's an information gap between the founders, the vision, and the people. And we want to bridge this gap thanks to the tech. Thanks to this platform, we want to allow people to be able to have the same information as we do.
Yeah, and people are giving you props for, you know, the authenticity in which you're talking about this. It's definitely appreciated, and I'm sure will come through in the project itself. Obviously, you having that background in esport and working at the sandbox and continuing with your entrepreneurial ventures makes you uniquely positioned to really, you know, make an impact here that's unique. How about the rest of your team? Can you highlight some of the different people that you've brought on board and what they bring to the table?
Of course, man. If you want, you can go down. We can show them on the website directly here. So here we go. On the left side, you have the founders. So we have Theo. So me, Remy, the first bullet. Then we have Theo. It's our director. He's working at Webedia, which is a famous esport agency. He's also graphic designer for famous esport teams as freelancer. So yeah, he created these little robots quite a long time ago as a personal project. But when we discussed, I saw these robots and I was like, man, that's so cool. I mean, I really believe that we can create something cool with them. So we reused the art he initially created. Then we have Niklas. Niklas is our CTO. He's a lead dev involved in many different projects. One is Mecha Chain, which is a famous play to earn. In France, at least, it's famous. I don't know if it's famous everywhere, but but it's a good French project actually, and 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 we are based in Paris as well, so it's quite easy to work together. Then we have Black Sheep. Black Sheep is the a chief product owner of one of the biggest startup in Paris. He loves creating product, and that's why we have him in the team as well, because he's very focused on the product itself. So checking the smart contract, checking that the website, the flow on the website is great, etc. So we try to gather all the main the main skill set to make a complementary team. And in the end, we have Loic. Loic is my brother, because and we are former teammates. We played together on Apex Legends when we were competing. So he's much better than me actually, but but he's also specialized in marketing. So he's leading the community at HeroEZ.
Very cool. And I saw some, you know, some other documentation, perhaps in the white paper, where it showed that you had, you know, an ex esport lead from Riot Games, you know, founders
Yeah,
from different organizations. So obviously, a lot of people bring learned skill sets because let's be real, one of the things that we see all too often, especially in this space, but perhaps in gaming in general, is people with ambitions, starting studios, starting projects. They really don't have the experience to bring it to fruition. Like gaming's a beast
yeah,
from in all facets, whether it's running an esport team, which by the way many celebrities have tried to fund a team and fallen on their face even though they had huge cash reserves. The issue was they didn't really know how to leverage it and for whom. There's too many people just trying to put their hand into a pocket, as opposed to authentic gamers and authentic people from the space really doing it. So I really like that you have that amalgamation of experiences and skill sets with your team.
yeah. We are quite well supported. As you said, we have a former esport lead at Riot Games who actually implemented all the structure for the French esport, the French League of Legends, which is one of the biggest in the world right now, one of the most active. Then we have yeah, it's Marco. Then we also have, for example, Sebastian from the Sandbox. Uh, and we have Julia, who joined very recently. She's the head of growth at TikTok, based in LA. She's a lot involved in the Web3 ecosystem, personally speaking. So she loved the concept, and we're glad that she's with us.
I mean, that's no small hire right there. Head of growth at
Yeah.
TikTok. That's pretty crazy, man. I don't even know what to say to that. That's bugged out. Man, that really bodes well for what you guys are building here. I want to circle back to something because I've seen a couple of times this has been mentioned in my DMs. Talk to me. You talked about some of the reasons why blockchain gaming right now really isn't what you targeted for this, right? It's not what you thought was
Mhm.
um, the what had the best runway. It's not where you wanted to focus your efforts. What other things does it enable you to do by taking a mainstream approach as opposed to focusing on blockchain games?
It's hard to. Okay, so first about blockchain games and esport. That's very important to understand this. I didn't mention that, but prior to creating my first company, I worked at Ubisoft, and I worked on the creation of their esports scene. So I was wondering how much they would get out of, as a publisher, how much they would earn from creating this scene, and what it's required to launch an esports scene. And usually it starts from the community. Like, when publishers try to create esport games before they are launched, it usually fails. Like, because it it really needs to come bottom up and not top down. It's a really bottom up approach, and a lot of publishers, game developers didn't understand that. So when they try to imagine their concept, they imagine that they will have tons of cash prizes, tons of players, tons of players involved in their competitions. But if the players only consider their game as a casual game, the competition will never happen, and it will never be sustainable. So when I see the current Web3 market, I see cool potentials, but I don't see esports ready games. And let's take a very simple example. Illuvium. I really like Illuvium. Like, the designs are dope. The gameplay seems interesting, but it's still too easy to when you compare it to Hearthstone, Legend of Runeterra, Teamfight Tactics, which are games that are being developed for years, that took years to be developed, that are on the market with iterations, with and also they focus on the fun, not on the earn. And for me, that makes a big difference in how games are actually built. So, does it answer the question, or just I don't
Well,
want to get lost here.
no. It's good. I think we've already talked about this through our discussion a little bit, but there was some more questions on it. I think from my perspective as well, when you're talking about creating a DAO so people can have ownership in something that we think has legs to really grow. I mean, you if you make this kind of tribal, worldwide, loose group of people that can really put their fandom behind something that they control, from the design, colors, whatever. I'm sure this we'll talk about what people can do, and then they start to have some success. They're on the circuit. If you're doing that in mainstream gaming, that's exponential exposure
Mhm.
versus what you would have in blockchain gaming. It's like the audience, there is an audience for the esport right now, for whether it's Axes or whatever you're playing, Gods Unchained, etc. But right now, exponentially, there's a much larger audience for games that people are just playing for fun and not play to earn. So by being part of that, the growth, I feel like right now, the runway for growth is huge, and you can always at some point imagine, you have your footing and you say, okay, now we're going to adopt our first blockchain gaming. I mean, when you do that, if you've already have a presence in mainstream, you're expected to come in and dominate, right? And I'm sure that you understand that, and you will. But I think it really number one, we talk all the time, at least I do, about projects that are trying to appeal within the same insular group. Like, great. You launched the team for blockchain games and acts. Who's going to be interested in it? All people already playing it, or people that are kind of loosely adjacent to the ecosystem. When you do mainstream, you can pick up anybody. People that weren't even involved in NFTs could become fans and want to take part, whether that's grabbing a jersey or whatever. So it definitely has a lot of growth potential. So, yeah, I
And
think I'm in line with what you're saying for sure.
I just thought about it, but if if you think on an investor perspective, okay, tomorrow you put your money on HeroEZ because you're an investor and you basically don't really care about the project, but you're an investor and you believe in esports. Um, if we go to Web3 games, as you said, we will be very limited on the current audience. If we go to Web2 games, we will have a potential cash prize which is much higher, which will participate in competitions that are worldwide watched. We will have people and sponsors that are ready to invest much more in the team because the audience is there. So I mean, even on the financial aspects of it, it makes sense. And also, once you know how to run an esport team on Web2 games with the competition that is very fierce, I'm sure that you can kill it on Web3 games afterwards.
Right. Exactly. And so that's actually part of the discussion going on right now by some of our community members. One of them, Subspace, who's always adamant that the fun is really lacking in some of the Web3 games, and that's kind of a roadblock for loyalty and people really following a particular game or team. And this kind of circumvents that and takes a different, intelligent approach to back into it with the Web3 technology and the power of community. We talk about the DAO. So obviously, people that are involved in the project there'll be a formation of a DAO, and I think I saw it was a portion of it. It wasn't all of, and I don't know how that shook out, but I think there's a portion of the sale that would be DAO governance, or maybe it's all of the NFTs that will drop. But talk to me, what will the DAO do? What are the kind of things you're envisioning the people that are taking part in this to be able to influence or really have a voice on?
So yeah, we have a reserve that will be dedicated for the DAO to invite and to also reward um, important players, important influencers that want to join us. But the DAO will have the hands on this supply. So, for example, let's take a quick example. It's not the best one because the deal is already done, but we will welcome in a few days a very famous eSport player who has a great track record on Counter Strike. He was one of the best CS:GO players in 2015, 2016. He just passed his diploma of mental coach. So we want this guy to be part of the team to help our players to succeed. This man is perfectly eligible to be invited into the DAO thanks to the tokens. So we could give him some tokens so he can be part of the DAO and join the team as well. So it can be a kind of reward, a kind of not revenues. I don't want to see it like this, but more a welcome gift to some key people we want in the community.
Yeah, and so when you have that DAO formed, are people going to be making decisions on all sorts of things, or do you have certain things
Yeah.
you kind of have an idea for right now, like merch or like players or tournaments? What are some of the decisions that they'd be making, at least at the beginning, that you can envision?
So first, I need to say it because it's quite cool. The DAO will be powered on Polygon. We have a cool partnership with Polygon Studios. We announced it a month and a half ago. It's a tech and marketing partnership, so they will help us on structuring the DAO and also on communication. We will give more details in the future, but it's very cool to have such a big tech company supporting us in the process. Um, And so for the DAO, we will structure the DAO with councils. So councils will lead decisions based on a certain budget. So under a certain budget, we want to keep a bit of agility. So we will have these councils by verticals. So we'll have a marketing council, an eSport council, a tech council, etc. 6 councils that will be able to act and vote decisions under a certain amount of budget. Over this amount, the whole DAO will be solicited to vote for the specific decision. So it's very important to keep agility, because we otherwise we won't be able to run things up, I think. So yeah, that's the plan.
That's very cool. I think there's been a movement and a lot of momentum on subcommittees like that within DAO structures. And you look at something like Friends with Benefits, and we even do a bit of that here at Whale, really empowering your community to be autonomous to a certain level, and then collectively coming together with the hive mind to make bigger decisions. So that's exciting to hear for sure. Someone had DM me, can you talk more about the avatars? They look super cool. How will they be incorporated going forward? Are they just aesthetic, or is there anything else that they can do?
Okay, spoiler alert, and maybe announcement, because it's not been released. We haven't revealed it officially, but we will have experiences in the sandbox, to have a metaverse gaming center, to host tournaments, to host streaming as well. We want the metaverse to be the future streaming platform of HeroEZ. So everyone can gather, can watch, and can interact together in a much more meaningful way compared to just Twitch chat, especially as Twitch just deleted the exclusivity clause for Twitch partners. So now you have the right to stream on other platforms as well. So this is the metaverse aspects behind the project. But the heroes will also have other utilities. I don't remember. I don't think I mentioned it earlier, but the NFT will also be an access pass to eSport centers, gaming centers all around the world. So we already signed partnerships with eSport centers in Paris and in London, and holders will have free access to these eSport centers. It's very important for us to bring this physical utility to the holders, so they are able to go play with their friends in qualitative places. So we only select flagship eSport centers we want to partner with, and the holders have free access to them. So it's if you want to play on a more powerful machine, if you want to play with friends, with your friends on aside of you, it's always cool to go to a real physical place.
That's very cool, and I would imagine there's plans to continue to expand that globally to other locations as you guys continue to grow.
Yeah, definitely. It's just we are planning on releasing the network, the full network, on November, December probably, as we are improving on the different partnership we signed.
As a side note, because I do a lot of these interviews, Remy, usually people will make an announcement like that, or about bringing on someone from TikTok or a huge influencer, and it's kind of some kind of buildup because that's their ace in their sleeve, and you don't even flinch. You're like, yeah, this is a casual mention, so that makes me think whatever you are building to is something momentous. So I have no. Not financial advice and no inside information there, but that's certainly gives me strong a strong opinion about your project and what you're building here.
I don't want to emphasize too much things. Like, I think that when you assess a project, it's the whole structure you try to assess. And of course, one news can be good, but if the rest is shit, it's worth nothing.
Right.
If the design are bad, maybe that's not a big deal. If the rest is cool, you may not like the design. Maybe, I mean, it's art, so everyone has his own taste. But basically, if you like the project, you can still jump in. So it's always how I approach things. I don't try to be too enthusiastic about something, but I'm always happy to to bring cool news on board.
Very cool. I want to make mention to everyone something that we do here at Whale frequently, especially in the past quarter, as we've made an effort to really step up our integrations with Web3 and what we're doing moving forward with some of our different assets and what we will do in the Omniverse, bridging the metaverse and physical, is distributing POAPs for our event. So we will have a POAP for this event as well. The way that we distribute here at Whale is via a secret phrase. So if you are watching right now, what you want to do is download the POAP app off of the App Store, whether you're on Android or iPhone. It's a small download, and when I give you the secret phrase in a few minutes, you can enter that in the bottom right-hand corner, and you will get this POAP. Limited distribution because we're not trying to feed bots and whatnot here, but that secret phrase will come in a few minutes. So I wanted to let you guys know so you can get ready and get your app loaded. And if you don't have it, give you a couple minutes to go ahead and download it. I just had a cool DM. Someone asked me, these avatars are so cute. Can they be part of the merchandise and branding?
Yeah, definitely, definitely, and it's something we really want to implement. Like you know the Funko Pops
Yes.
characters. We have a bit of the same feeling here with a big head and a small body. So of course it's in the plan. We would really like to have them physical. It will require a bit of work to define what can be done exactly, but I'm sure we can work this out. It's in the plan actually,
So
and
physical.
you know, like it could be a cool. Um, I have my big headset here, but it would be a cool support to put the headset on the desk when you don't need it. It can be yeah, either an asset on your desk or an art piece. Let's see.
Right. Yeah, that would definitely be cool. I wasn't even thinking about a physical manifestation of it, just maybe seeing it on a jersey, but knowing it can literally be on my desk, that's a little bit extra. I like that a lot. Um, so you talked about partnerships that you've already, garnered. You have partnerships with some of these physical locations. You talked about Polygon Studio supporting you. I'd seen some other things as well, LimeWire, some other kind of various partnerships out there. Anything of note that you would call out and that you guys have put together?
I can't, so I won't disclose, unfortunately, a new partnership today. Uh, it's very important to understand our strategy here, why we're doing partnerships and with who. Every time we sign a partnership, it's because we, of course, we want to improve the Mint audience, but it's because they believe in what we're doing and we are pushing towards future utilities. Okay, so every time we sign something, it's because we have plans, because we want to create something relevant, something coherent between our two communities. So with LimeWire, LimeWire launched their NFT marketplace. We will have something in LimeWire in the future. Gamer Hash as their own platform. We will allow Gamer Hash people to have different utilities in our ecosystem, etc. So we really want to create meaningful things and not just marketing announcement that say, hey, we are partnering with X, Y, or Z, and without real feeling behind. And also partnerships are very important for us because, as I mentioned earlier, we didn't raise any money to preserve the DAO integrity. So it means that if we want to grow, we need to do it organically. So we need to spread the word. That's why I'm here today. I mean, it's also for that. So we need people to believe in organic growth, to believe in involved community. that's why we are launching these partnerships.
Thanks for that. I tried to suss out the alpha as I always do, but you are bulletproof, my friend. Although you did drop some for us today, so I can appreciate that. You talked about, someone that was an incredible player that's going to be a mentor and coach and help work with your team. Do you have players lined up already? Are you in negotiations?
No, because we are waiting for the first DAO vote, which will decide which game we are going to. And this is, I mean, this is potentially my favorite part of the setup of the DAO, because the first vote will be which game do you want to go and what strategy we okay, this is actually not up to date. This
Okay.
needs to be updated. But so regarding the supply is 3,000 units. So regarding the what I was just saying, we it will be very interesting to see how the community will react. Will they be willing to go on famous games, but that requires a huge amount of money? So basically, with the funds that we will raise, we will only be able to be an average or low tier team. But maybe we go to different games that have a lower audience, lower complexity, and then we can become one of the best team in the world. So will they prefer being on top games but on average positioning, or being on average game but with top positioning? It's just the community decision.
Very cool. And just for my edification, what would be like, so for example, what would be a game that would be the top tier versus what would be something that would be kind of middle tier?
So the top tier would be League of Legends right now.
Okay.
If you want to be on League of Legends at the top, you need at least 30 million.
Okay.
So basically, with the supply, the min price that we have, it's impossible. And with the current market as well, I think it's not possible.
Right.
Um, a tier 2 game would be Apex. So the
Okay.
game we play with my brother. Apex has started developing his esports scene last year. We are on the season 3 of the Apex Legends series, which is the equivalent of the World Championship. 5 million cash prize, which is not that bad. So the game starts having a very cool rhythm with good structures, good players, but players are still affordable. Like you need to count 2.5K per month for a good player.
Okay.
So
And
it's largely affordable to have a team on Apex with the first mint.
okay. And just because we talked about second tier, I'm just curious, what would be like the lowest tier? What would be like a low tier esport game where people, it's still a viable, competitive community, but it's really not as high profile?
Super Smash Bros. Smash Bros is a great title, but cash prices are very low. The audience is very, very niche. So when you launch on Smash Bros, it's you need to target a very, very dedicated audience.
Hey, I'm pretty good with Link. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm pretty good with Link
Perfect.
and Smash, and I come from an old school 64. But we'll talk later on that. But thank you for clarifying that. That's very cool, and I appreciate the level of detail because so many times I've seen people have these types of ambitions with esports teams, and they're just talking from afar without having experienced it. So, guys, before we go too much further, and I missed the mint window because it is very small here, we're going to give you the secret phrase for the POAP. The secret phrase for the POAP for this event is choose your player. Choose your player, all one word, no spaces. Enter that into the POAP app where it asks for a secret phrase, and you'll be able to get the POAP for this particular event. As a reminder, going forward, POAPs are a great way to mark your participation and get an NFT for things that you do in Web3, but they will also be involved in our gating and access to various features and things within Whale. So I encourage you, anytime you have an opportunity, take out the app and scoop the POAP for sure. Yeah, so we talked players. Another question someone had DM'd me I thought was cool is there any unique tech or ideas that you guys plan to bring to truly leverage Web3 interactivity in a way that's not done yet? Or is it being kept tight to the vest because you don't want to divulge the secrets?
No, that's hard to say, honestly. Like, I mean, we never know all the projects in the world, so it's hard to say that we will have one unique asset. But I think that our approach actually is quite unique. Like, we never interacted with influencers. We never had, because we really want to have people committed in our journey, that believe in what we're doing. So every time we partner with someone, it's because they believe in us, we believe in them, and we have the same vision. So and maybe it's a bit sad to say this, but I think that there are not that many projects with this approach. A lot of people only believe in hype and having 100K followers on Twitter. I'm not saying that we are that it's an excuse, but we were always right with our mind, right with our strategy all the time. So maybe it's the wrong one, but at least we stayed right with with our commitment from the start. So yeah, that's the message I can pass here. Some people and most NFT investors would find it silly, probably, but I think that the Web3 market actually need people that are not interested in only money to succeed. Because if we want to grow, if we want to reach out bigger audience, if we want to attract everyone in the future, that's not with very expensive digital assets that will make it. That's not with exclusive communities. So we are trying to. I mean, we are trying to imagine ways to expand the concept, so the fans can be also involved even if they don't buy a HeroEZ. Like, so we are trying to imagine a lot of stuff here to expand the community as much as we can.
I like that, a very pragmatic approach and a very realistic approach. I think we talk all the time here about the future of NFTs. People won't even call them NFTs. It'll just be a technology that, no one says, hey, I'm on, the internets or whatever it is, right? It's just kind of a highway for the various things that we're doing. So appreciate, I appreciate the honesty there and the way that you would approach it. I wanted to ask you, what's been the early read on your project from other people that you talk to about it? Have you encountered any apprehension from traditional, gaming?
Yeah, actually, most people who don't like the project don't believe in the DAO approach. They believe that they don't believe in having a fan governed team, which is fair. Like, we can't not everyone can like it, so it's life. We believe in it, and we are trying to put all the tools around to make it work. We understand the challenges. The main challenge will be commitment. Honestly, like, if we have commitment, I'm not afraid at all. If no one participates in the DAO, that will be the biggest failure, actually, because I'm not afraid in also not selling out. Like, the sellout is just an information to the market that you had an audience big enough, but still the project can live on. Like, so if we do quick math, we have 3,000 units at 0.2. It's very expensive, as I said, to launch a powerful esport team. But again, we have different strategies. If we mint less than the expected amount, we will act as with different strategies. We will go to different games that require less money to show the world that we are able to have a DAO governed esport team. And maybe it will be on Smash Bros. And it will cost much less money than going to Apex or League of Legends, but still. So
Very,
yeah, that's the
very cool. So I was going to ask you about some of the specifics on the launch. It looks like it's at the end of this month, and that's a pivot, a smart pivot, I think, right? That you guys did, given the merge to make sure things are stabilized there. 3,000 is the supply, and will that be the total governance? Will that be the governance body, or will that expand at some point?
we will have a potential supply of 11,000 units, but again, this is if according to how it goes, we'll see. Like we are ready to it will be the first wave with 3,000 units. We again, it's a way to welcome as many people as possible. If people don't come in, no problem. We will keep the difference between 3,000 and the mint price and the minted amount to the DAO. So we have a reserve for the DAO, and the rest will never be minted, as it will not be released. So yeah, that's the plan for the supply. We try to decide the price according to the market price, of course, allowing us to have enough enough cash for the launch to be a sustainable launch based on a proof of concept. We want to show people that we are able to launch a good team on the first game. This is what it is for. And then if we need to expand, if we need to go abroad, if we need to expand to other regions, etc., we are still able to launch and expand the governance body, and see what it happens. It's a bit like the lens on the sandbox. If I can do this comparison, like we have 166,000 lands. Imagine that tomorrow you launch an NFT collection with 166,000 units. People would get mad. Like
Right.
they would tell you that you're completely mad, but actually it works. And the min price is 1,000 cents. So it costs $1,000 to mint your land on the sandbox, and no one gives a shit about the price or the supply. So why should them, in this case?
Right. Shout out to the sandbox. We have 2,000 plus plots of land, including 12 by 12s, and I think a 24 by 24. So you'll see the whale logo all over it if you take a look at that map. Man, thank you so much for sharing. One thing I think we kind of skirted around because we were just so excited talking about other stuff. We talked about the value that's driven by fans and how it doesn't come back to them in the esports environment. I think I read in your white paper here that, as a
Mhm.
holder, not only will you be able to have votes in governance, not only will you be able to go into the sandbox and participate, et cetera, but there's plans to reward people that are part of this as well with different drops and features. Could you just touch on that real quick?
Yes, definitely. So the easiest part is that we already have plans for 5 or 6 other concepts that will expand the gaming environment of players. So not just the esports scene, but more like the gaming scope of every player. So this is a way for us to reward the membership of people who believe in us, who wants to stay involved in the adventure. A bit like, I really love the what Artifact is doing. They don't airdrop tokens. I mean, fungible tokens. They create value, adding utility. They create value, creating new concepts, involving new brands into the ecosystem, etc. And that's how we truly believe the expansion of the brand, because they think as a brand and not just as an NFT collection. So that's our approach on the first part. Then regarding the cash redistribution, it's very tricky. If we redistribute the proceeds from the cash prizes, we will very easily be taxed by as a security token,
Right.
because basically you become a security when you redistribute the revenues. So we have a very clear idea, and it's being developed right now. We will create tournaments dedicated to our holders, where the holders will get a part of the cash prizes directly from our tournaments. So it will be a play to earn experience to get the redistribution, to get the real redistribution.
So you're saying I have a chance with Smash Brothers?
Maybe.
Okay, so here, serious question now. If you had to choose someone for like the worst possible esport tier that you could, and you were forced to choose between us, would you take me or our other whale head here, Decryptolorian, for your team?
Wow. So what game is he playing?
Well, I want to say Smash, but I guess I've already kind of played my cards there. Name me another one that's on that low tier. We could probably participate that way.
Yeah, for sure. Then let's go, man.
Which one?
You've always.
You can only take one of us.
I'll take you, of course, man. Like I don't know him, so it's always easier to choose people you know.
Yeah, well, you made the right choice. I think everyone will tell you I'm a much better gamer than DC, and that just goes to show how learned and what a great business acumen and decision maker you are right there. So I think that influenced lots of people to participate. So just to remind everybody, details on the drop coming up the end of this month on the 27th, 3,000 supply. I think you said 0.2 ETH. Get involved. This is your opportunity if you're interested to really be part of the DAO ownership and governance of an esport club. It's going to be mainstream esports. It's not going to be blockchain focused. And I think you've heard from Remy here, realistic goals and targets, and how, regardless of how the market responds here, they're going to come to market and launch. So exciting. It sounds like merch. It sounds like more drops coming down the line. Even the avatars are pretty dope. I know Noisy has already called dibs on several of them that he wants for himself. I believe it's a blind mint, Noisy. So you're going to have to just love what you get, but I'm sure it may be even iller than the ones that we've seen so far. Remy, thank you so much for coming on with the whale community today and sharing it with the greater NFT community that tunes in. We are looking forward to seeing this launch and how HeroEZ continues to develop.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks, Nightmare, for the grateful welcome. I'm really happy for being here today. Thanks for the compliments as well. It's always heartwarming. So yeah, see you soon, and I hope we can welcome a lot of whale holders in the community in the next few months, for sure.
Looking forward to it. Have a good one.
Good day, guys. See you soon.